Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay updated with all our latest content. Join us and never miss out on the excitement. The episode opens with Reddington being transported along a jungle road by some child solidars. They destroy a military vehicle following them with a bazooka and then bring Red to a Congolese warlord named Yabari. Red offers Yabari $3 million in cash for the name of a bounty hunter who has been hired by Berlin to kill him. Yabari is belligerent and tells his men to kill Red and keep the money, but Red had planned ahead and used 3 Hellfire missiles he had recently acquired to attack the base and get Yabari to give him a name, Lord Baltimore. Red sets the cash on fire and leaves. At the post office, Walter Gary Martin and Donald Ressler talk to Deputy Attorney General Raymond Wright, who is angry that Red burned the money. Apparently it was government black book dollars. Agent Martin, the interim director of this task force, while Harold Cooper is in recovery because of his near death at the end of Berlin. Conclusion says that the situation is under control. Reverend Wright isn't satisfied because Red has given out $12 million in black bag cash to his friends and says she wants to talk to him. Ressler tells her that's great, but around the post office they have a thing. Reddington only talks to Elizabeth Keene. The scene cuts to Liz lying on her back in a motel room looking at a ceiling covered in newspaper clippings, reports, and photos of Tom, Red, and more. She looks like she's been there a while as she brushes her teeth, eats something from a takeout box, then grabs some documents and goes to meet Red. He shares the lead with her about Lord Baltimore, who is an experienced tracker of sorts, using internet data, status updates, etc. to find people. Red says it's their first lead, and if they find Lord Baltimore, they'll find Berlin. While they talk, a mysterious person in a car watches Liz through binoculars from a distance. At the post office, Liz tells the team about the case. Agent Martin is less than enthusiastic, but Aram knows all about him. He pulls up a file on Rowan Mills, who works for a big data firm and recently had $250,000 deposited into her individual retirement account, then quickly transferred to an offshore account. Ressler and Liz go talk to her, but she claims that she's the victim, not the criminal here. She also shares that she was targeted before in August, and that the information gathered could be used to track someone. Liz notices that she was fidgeting with her ring nervously while talking to them. In the car, she points this out to Ressler and talks about how easy it is to track someone, but he just thinks she's being paranoid, and that's why she's living out of trunk, using aliases, and moving motels all the time. Liz says she feels like she's being watched, while Ressler says she needs to stop and that Tom is dead. Liz asks Ressler if he has talked to Dr. Friedman yet, to which he gets defensive and says the Bureau doesn't care about their mental health and he doesn't need to talk to a psychiatrist. Liz disagrees and says in her professional opinion he should go talk to Dr. Friedman. A man Marcus walks into a dirty apartment to meet Berlin. He is an associate of Lord Baltimore, says that they have found Reddington, but because the feds are involved now, they will require additional fees. Berlin smashes his head against the tub and holds him underwater for a bit, before saying no additional fees and that he just wants Red within 24 hours. Meanwhile, Rowan listens to a voice message telling her that they know about her chat with Liz and Ressler and threatening her not to talk to the FBI again. Of course, she tells Ressler and Liz right away. While they are talking, Aram calls and says she's innocent because a lot of data was stolen, but from the outside. He also says it doesn't make sense because Red is a Luddite and doesn't use modern technology. So why would Berlin hire Lord Baltimore to find him unless they're actually tracking someone else? Maybe someone on the team. The FBI raids an apartment and brings Rowan there to see something. While walking in, the man who visited Berlin is shown standing there and makes eye contact with Rowan. The apartment is full of evidence incriminating Rowan, but she denies all of it and says she has never been there before in her life. The scene cuts to Harold Cooper walking into his home to see Dembe and Reddington sitting there. Red tries to convince Cooper to come back to the task force and gives him his only copy of their adventure in Kuwait as a reason to come back. Cooper says that he is out and wants to go to the Dominican with his wife. Red tells him he knows about the diagnoses and what the doctors found while at the hospital, but says he is strong and can still survive. Back at the apartment, Rowan tells the Liz and Ressler that the only explanation for the apartment is her twin sister Nora, who supposedly died 7 years ago in Mosul, must actually be alive and doing all this as Lord Baltimore. The hooded watcher from earlier is again shown wearing gloves and watching through binoculars. Red and Dembe walk into a hotel and go up the stairs, while Red tells Dembe that he doesn't recognize the concierge and he wants to know who he is. As they walk up the stairs, a helicopter shows up and a team of men breach the building, taking Reddington and knocking out Dembe. Red believes Lord Baltimore took him, but it turns out to actually be Mossad. He confidently tells her that he will be released within the hour. She laughs. Liz and Ressler are seen interviewing Rowan, her mother, and Nora's team leader in Syria about Nora. They learn that she was a troubled child, molested by her uncle from ages 7 to 12, and also the bravest member of her team. Rowan tells them that Nora pressured her to get information about a competing security firm she could use to get the upper hand and hit Rowan when she refused. Her team leader tells Ressler how she died, but also confirms that the body was never recovered. They release Rowan because they think Nora is still out there, and they don't have cause to hold her. Red tells Samar Navabi that he knows who she is by telling her about her younger brother, Shahin Navabi, who was killed in the 2009 Pishin bombing. Then he asks how she found him, and she explains that they placed a traceable dye into the kind of ties he likes Xenia to find him. Dr. Friedman finds Ressler at the post office and says she could suspend him, but he ignores her and goes to talk to Rowan's mother again. Aram tells Liz that he has figured out how Lord Baltimore tracks his victims, and that he isn't looking for Reddington, but someone else. Agent Martin shows up to where Mossad is holding Reddington and remands him into his custody. Red tells Samar on his way out he knows who ordered the bombing that killed her brother, and it wasn't the people who publicly claimed it. She already knows and alludes to having him killed already. Liz tells Red that Lord Baltimore wasn't looking for him, but someone else. He quickly realizes it's a woman named Naomi Highland and tells her to send units to protect her now. She asks him why, and he tells her that she is his wife. We cut to a group of couples sitting together discussing atheism. Naomi is there, and she goes to the kitchen where she notices a man at the back door. A group of U.S. Marshals enter and tell her that they have a credible threat, and she needs to go with them. She starts crying and tells her husband she's sorry, and then says, "He's back, isn't he?" Rowan is in her apartment looking at a photo when the man who made eye contact with her earlier walks in. She freaks out, but he tells her he is Marcus, and he isn't there to hurt her. He puts on a record for her to listen to and tells her to come back, to remember. Ressler is back at her mother's house and goes to back where he finds Nora Mill's body and realizes that Rowan is living with split personality disorder. Rowan wakes up and asks Marcus how long she was out. Ressler notifies Liz, who is at Naomi's house, listening to her talk about how she doesn't want to give everything up again and how hard it is being Reddington's wife. Rowan, Marcus, and a team show up and take Naomi. Liz is shot with a stun gun, but is able to shake it off and shoot Marcus before he can kill her, and then runs outside, sees Rowan walking down the street, and tackles her. Naomi is taken to Berlin, whose cut-off hand has been replaced by a hook. Liz and Ressler interrogate Marcus and Rowan, but neither of them are talking. Marcus says they shouldn't ask him but Nora, because she put it together. Liz realizes that Rowan and Nora don't know the other exists, or what the other does, because of the dissociative personality disorder, and they need to find the trigger for Nora. She goes to Marcus to find out, and then uses it to switch Rowan to Nora, using the song that Marcus played earlier. Nora comes back and tells Liz, but they get there too late. All of Lord Baltimore's men have been killed, except one who gives Red a message. Naomi tells Berlin she can't help him find Reddington, but Berlin just tells her to lay down and then takes her picture. Red and Dembe go to the apartment building from the message where he finds a locket with a picture inside it. Liz tells Ressler that Red didn't find Naomi. He asks if a Mossad agent really captured Reddington. Dr. Friedman comes in and wants to talk to Ressler, but he isn't having it and has a controlled outburst about how he feels. Liz is sitting on a bench as her lawyer comes up and tells her that her marriage with Tom was legally annulled by a judge. She tells him she's keeping his name Keen because he was a fake and it was never his name. Ressler is shown taking pills to cope, and the hooded person is still watching Liz as she looks out the window. She walks back into the post office with a new hairdo as Aram meets her, all smiles, and tells her Martin is no longer interim director. She asks who they answer to now and turns around to see Harold Cooper back as the director. Red gets a package from Berlin with a cell phone in it. He answers it, and it's Berlin whom he asks where Naomi is and is taunted that she would be sent to Red piece by piece. He opens the other box in the package and sees one of Naomi's fingers inside it. See you in the next video.